Today's webinar will be focused on comparing our payroll solution to Gusto. If that's not where you expect it to be, that's okay. You're welcome to stay. Or we have a link here to the other sessions that we are running today. So I'm going to pop that out for you. All right, so you can register for some of the other sessions later today. In a moment, I'll introduce the speakers and we'll review today's agenda. But before we dive in, a few quick housekeeping items. This session will last approximately 30 minutes. We encourage you to submit questions in the chat function. We have team members who will be both answering some of the questions and then tagging others to be answered later in the session. So go ahead and jump in chat and tell us where you're joining us today from. Appreciate it. If you experience any technical difficulties, try refreshing your screen or even reconnecting to the webinar. This session is being recorded and we'll share the recording by tomorrow. We'll send it via email, the one that you used to register for this session. So now let's meet our speakers. First up, I'm Jeff Hughes. I'm Director of Customer Success here at OnTheClock. My team is responsible for ensuring that you have the best experience with time tracking, and now obviously with enrolling in and processing payroll. Next up, we have Dylan Munn.
Hey everybody, this is Dylan Munn. I'm actually with Check, so we're the back-end engine behind OnTheClock that helps do a lot of the tax calculations and tax filings. I have been selling payroll for about 7.5 years, and I have moved hundreds of employers off of Gusto. So I'm going to be speaking to some of the major pain points that we have seen from our customer base at OnTheClock on why they're moving over to OnTheClock and kind of the value that we bring. So I will be passing the ball over to Steve.
Thanks, Dylan. My name's Steve McKay. I'm the product manager here at OnTheClock. I'm responsible for the time tracking as well as the new payroll product. I will be spending some time with you a little bit later today to talk about how we implemented payroll into the time tracking solution and kept it nice, easy, and simple and easy to use.
All right, and I am Gary. Yep, I'm Gary. I am the head of business development and payroll account executive here at OnTheClock. And what I'm going to do is show you a brief demo of how the system works. And I also focus on making sure that our payroll is a good fit for you and helping you solve all the issues that you've run into in the past.
All right, so now that we've met everybody, let's get started. In today's webinar, we're going to review some of the common payroll challenges that all small businesses face. Next, we'll specifically talk about how OnTheClock compares to Gusto and how we built our payroll system to compete. Gary will do a quick demo to show you how easy it is to run payroll right from your OnTheClock account. Plus, we'll take a look at how your employees' experience will improve. Last, we have plenty of time at the end to answer questions. So please, again, be putting those into chat and we'll address them later. And then I ask you to please stick around till the end. We've got a lot of great content, but we also have a very great offer that we'd like to share with you in appreciation for you joining us today to learn about OnTheClock payroll. And with that, I'll turn it over to Dylan.
Awesome. Well, hey, everybody. So a lot of the questions that we've gotten over the past couple of months is, why did OnTheClock build our payroll solution? And there's a number of reasons that we have been hearing from our customer base over years of working with them to do a lot of the export of the timekeeping information over to payroll, multiple payroll providers. A lot of these core issues we see reflected with Gusto, and I'll talk about that next. I'm just going to give a general state of the union around the payroll industry. One of the biggest challenges we find and with the employers that we talk to is around the amount of hidden fees that they feel they are being kind of almost not bait and switch, but not fully told what is the entire cost of their payroll service. And so that's one of the biggest challenges, in knowing what exactly you're going to be paying, which kind of complements. And the next point is that all the different tiers. Most employers, I want my payrolls to get ran. I want them to be accurate. I want my taxes to be paid. I want my employees to be paid. I want everything on time. All these different knobs and turns of what exactly I'm paying for, I don't quite understand. Which all kind of blends into, okay, so now I have to pay for all these different things and all these different systems. And so I'm having to move all my timekeeping data into my payroll system, and then it goes into my accounting system. I'm having to key all these different things in. So it's just a very discombobulated experience. But also, one of the challenges is, especially with timekeeping employers, is the amount of time I have to process my payroll. we'll talk about this here in a sec as well, but we've all been there. The manager forgot to approve a timesheet. The employee forgot to clock out and actually wanted, 5 more minutes than what they were paid for. And you have to readjust your payroll and re-edit it or delete it. So it's just, what you want is clean, simple payroll. There's a lot of complexity around the current systems that are out there. And that's really why we built OnTheClock Payroll. Translating that over to Gusto. One of the main challenges we have is a lot of our employers that we talk to, they go in for the base tier pricing with Gusto. It's a very competitive, very appeasing offering. But when they actually get in there, they're finding that there's a lot more ticky-tacky fees that they're having to end up paying. So multi-state is a great example. Maybe you want to expand into a new state. Maybe you are you're remote, so you hire somebody in a different state. All of a sudden, that's more charges, more costs to you in order to process their payroll with Gusto. You thought payroll was payroll. You didn't know there's all these individual costs. Additionally, time tracking. The feedback that we have received is that the time tracking with Gusto is very discombobulated and not very user-friendly. It's one of the main reasons a lot of people, might be processing payroll with Gusto, but they're keeping with OnTheClock for their timekeeping because it just seems like a very discombobulated system and very confusing on what actually needs to get done. Another big challenge that we hear with Gusto is around their payroll processing times. And so I know it recently changed, but for the most part, most employers and probably most people on this call, you probably have that 4-day processing with Gusto. And in order to adjust it or edit it after you've processed is almost an act of Congress. And so it's very challenging to be flexible with Gusto's kind of more rigid systems when it comes to actually processing your payroll. And this is the one I kind of want to hit on the most. I help a number of our customers in some regards to their payroll operations. And I have been in the experience where a Gusto client had uploaded their new 2025 healthcare deductions. And this is a 4-employee group. And their total premiums for that month was around $2,100. But Gusto put on a $3,200 deduction for the 2 owners and then didn't do any deductions for the employees. When I was trying to communicate with that employer on how to fix this, Gusto just kept sending me help center articles, how to edit deductions, how to add deductions. It's like, no, that's not what I need. I need you to fix what you must have miskeyed in here because I did not enter this information. I sent over the premium information for them. So it's just a good example of it's just a lot of user articles as opposed to actually fixing the issue that's gone wrong. So now I'll bring on Steve to show you how exactly the OnTheClock system is going to be addressing all those challenges with Gusto and how we can help streamline things a lot more effectively.
Awesome. Thank you, Dylan. Appreciate the intro and getting us on here. So one of the things that we wanted to keep simple was payroll. So our time tracking system is very easy, intuitive. It's simple to the point. You know what you need to do and where you need to go to get your time tracking done, whether it's the employee punching in or you reviewing those time cards. Well, we did the same thing with payroll. So what we wanted to do was make sure that those times that the times that your employees are tracking that you're tracking while your employees are punching in, whether it's salary or hourly, are making it into the time card and straight into your payroll. So there is no added messiness of doing manual imports or downloading CSV files and uploading those. It's all one single integration built right into the product. So along those lines, keeping it simple is self-enrollment. You don't have to talk to our sales team to enroll. You can just go right to the product, click on that payroll icon, look at the eligibility requirements, read through them. And if you meet those eligibility requirements, just continue on and roll into the product. We will hit you up if we have any questions or if we need any additional forms, but it's very easy. We'll handle that migration for you. So if you're coming over from Gusto, no big deal. You just give us a little bit of details. We can go out and grab that historical pay periods, your employee data, et cetera, and bring that over. Along the lines of easy and simple is your employee self-service onboarding. So we want you to be able to just enroll and tell your employees, hey, we've enrolled in OnTheClock Payroll. They will see an icon or actually a little message when they log in that says, hey, your employer is now using OnTheClock Payroll. Click this link to onboard yourself. So it's going to ask them for their social security number, their banking information, W-2 information. They're going to sign all that right in the product. And you're going to get a little status when you check your payroll status to see where you are at in the process that shows you your employees' progress as they navigate through onboarding. Excuse me. So once you're up and running and your employees are onboarded and you're sending time over, we're going to handle that compliance and processing for your tax. Excuse me. We're going to handle your tax calculations, filings, payments to ensure that you're in compliance with local, state, and federal laws. There's no need to do any manual tax calculations. We have it all built in right for you, and we'll be monitoring that. Again, going back to your employees punching in and out, whether they're salary or hourly, those times are going to appear on your time card. You get to review it in the product still. So you're still in the OTC time tracking product. You review it, everything looks good. Then you can submit it to payroll, and it's going to go over to our payroll product. You will not, it's going to stay right on the screen. So you're not going to see like a transition or anything. When I say it moves over to the payroll product, it all happens right on that screen. And right from that screen, you can do, you can add additional things such as bonus commissions. If you are doing any sort of retirement savings or anything for your employees, you can do all those withholdings right there in the product itself. Lastly, we have our payroll reporting, and that is very intuitive, again, built right into the product. You're just going to go strictly from that drop-down header from payroll. You hit reports and everything is right there in front of your face. It gives you detailed breakdowns for your taxes, wages, any deductions. You also can grab your payroll summary report and your payroll journeys for any accounting or compliance that you have to jump into. So that's kind of our process there. Is we want to keep everything easy, simple, keep all the minutia out of it, and make payroll as easy as possible. Back over to you, Dylan.
Awesome. Well, so this, I would say, is what I hope is the main takeaway from this webinar today is, again, the main value prop that we're bringing to a lot of our customers is, and what Gary's about to show to you, is everything's in one house. Your scheduling, your timekeeping, your payroll. As an admin, it's just easier to have everything in the one house. We'll talk about here in a bit, but we can manage and do all of the back-end deductions and payroll information that Gus was currently doing, but everything as an admin, you don't have to leave the system. Your employee is going to have everything in one house. If remote hiring, is kind of here to stay. And so if you do want to find a great employee in another state, that's not going to cost you extra like it's going to with Gusto. Our direct deposit timelines or the payroll processing timelines are just much more friendly to the employer. We fully understand that employees happen, managers happen. You need that flexibility in order to have your employees paid on time and accurately and based off of life and how things just kind of come up. But last but not least is around the pricing model, much more clear pricing. What you get with our pricing is, with a top tier option with Gusto, especially around the customer support. And so you're not going to get just a generic help center article that says, here's how deductions work when you have a deduction issue. It's going to be, all right, let's walk through solving this issue. We believe, a 5-minute conversation is going to help solve more than a back and forth over email off of a customer support ticket. So I've talked a lot. I'll hand over to Gary. I've told, now let's show. I'm part of the show and tell section.
Yeah, for sure. So you're familiar with OnTheClock as you use it right now, but realistically, when we built the system, it was with a focus on making everything easy. And we've simplified this down to just a few clicks. When you log into OnTheClock, you still have access to everything in here, your schedule, your PTO, everything is built in. But to run payroll, all you have to do is go to your time cards. In your time cards, you can still make edits to your time cards, And as you can see, I know there's been a couple of things that came up with salaried employees. You can have those auto-generated. Everything is built in. You can still edit your time cards as needed and adjust your hours. But once you have everything the way it needs to be and everything is set for your pay period, you just click on the blue Run Payroll button. That's all there is to it. It's going to take you in to your payroll summary so you can see everyone's wages and earnings, as well as breakdowns of withholdings and anything that's being pulled out as far as taxes and down to their net pay. If you need to make an adjustment to anyone's actual pay stub, you can just come in and click Edit Payroll, and it'll take you to a secondary screen where you can edit each individual's paycheck so you can make the adjustments necessary. But once everything is good to go, you click on Submit Payroll, and you're done. That's all there is to it. You'll see this green banner in the back change to say Payroll Submitted, and that's all there is to it. Nothing more. Now, from an employee perspective, it's also very easy. Everything is housed in one location. So your employees would log in just as they would normally to punch in or do their PTO request, and they will click on the payroll icon. And once they do, all of their pay stubs will be cataloged right here. They can be downloaded, viewed, printed out, or exported, so they'll have all of that right there, as well as their tax documents, things like W-2s, all right here for them to grab. And under their pay settings, they can actually adjust anything that needs to be adjusted. If you get a new bank account or you have a baby, got to change your withholdings, it can all be adjusted right here under the pay settings. So it's quick, easy, and self-service. All right, and next, I'm going to hand it back over to Dylan.
Awesome. Well, perfect. I'll go to the next screen here. I'll click over. Awesome. Well, and so as we saw, that was, I was off for maybe a minute or two, and that's how fast processing your payroll is going to be. It's always very easy to say and show on a demo how quick this process is, but we love testimonials. And this is from one of our customers, Megan, who not only is going to save $1,200 moving off of her last payroll provider onto OnTheClock. So that's $1,200 that's going to their profit margin, to their expenses that they need to address, as opposed to the payroll provider. But also, a lot of our customers are exporting a lot of their time-keeping information into an Excel sheet, adding all of the IRAs, deductions, garnishments, all those other additional payroll components into that Excel sheet, and then keying that into Gusto. And so you're eliminating all that step as well. So that's where a lot of the time savings coming in is. It's not just a time saving, it's also a compliance savings as well, making sure that there is no human touch that can go wrong in processing your payroll. But again, so not only do we save the money, not only do we save the time, but we also have the ability to have everything under the one roof, making both your life and your employees' life a lot better. But going back to the main kind of 4 points, I just want to end on this before we get to the questions. Really, it is the customer support that I view is our biggest lever against Gusto. Coming from my experience, personally having to deal with deduction issues, the times when I was just sent a help center article, I wanted to pull my hair out was a number of them. And so that is really where OnTheClock is going to be the most noticeable difference from Gusto, but also around the processing periods, both the speed to process your payrolls. We can also do 2 days as opposed to the 4 days that Gusto typically offers. And there's not going to be a lot of nickel and diming in order to have the actual payroll system that you want. You're going to get everything that Gusto offers from processing the payroll perspective included in our standard fee. But again, the main value to your employees and to your staff is everything's in the one house. Scheduling goes to timekeeping. Timekeeping goes to payroll. You're in and out of the system in a couple of minutes. So I'll hand it back over to Jeff, and we'll start to answer some questions.
All right. Thanks, Dylan. So before we get to questions, wanted to thank you for attending and your time today. We want your business, and the quarter end is a really good time to switch. So we're offering a special webinar enrollment offer. If you enroll in OnTheClock Payroll by the end of March and run your first payroll with us in April, we will both waive the enrollment fee, which covers the cost of converting or moving your account from Gusto to OnTheClock and setting up your account for running payroll, and 3 months of free time tracking for your account today. So that we'd love to get your business special offer to enroll this month. The other thing is we will be answering some of your questions, but a reminder, keep throwing them into the chat and we will answer them live as well. I also would love to get your thoughts on, there will be a poll in just a moment, how you're feeling about On the Clock payroll right now. So panelists, if you can join me on stage, we're going to get started with some of the questions. And while they're gathering, Dylan, I want to come back to you. I think we've touched on it a little bit, but could you just speak to the implementation process? So once somebody enrolls, what does it look like to make the migration from Gusto onto On the Clock?
Yeah, absolutely. It's very simple. That's the good news. We really built this with our small business owner in mind, because you have a million things to do today and every day, and moving payrolls is not probably going to be the top priority unless something really went wrong. And so to speak directly to moving over from Gusto, what we do is we get access, admin access to your Gusto account. So your bookkeeper or your accountant might already have this kind of access. So we have a call with you. We walk you through adding us on as a payroll admin. And then we now take 5-10 minutes. We then go in, pull all the tax documents, all the payroll documents, all the employee files, move everything over for you. That next call then is around walking through your first payroll run with us, making sure everything is accurate, and then submitting the payroll. But again, what you saw with Gary's presentation, that's going to be another 5 or 10 minute call. We typically say moving off of Gusto and on the clock is anywhere between 15 and 20 minutes of your time. And that 15, 20 minutes gets you those thousands of dollars of cost saving and hours back into your life.
All right. Thanks, Dylan. Gary, I'm going to come to you. So could you speak to the cost of payroll with On the Clock?
Yeah. So when it comes to payroll,
and then can you add?
Did I just lose Jeff, or did everybody else?
We lost Jeff.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So it wasn't just me. All right. So the pricing when it comes to payroll is simple. It is a $40 base fee and then $6 per employee per month. So that's a monthly fee. And the only reason that would change would be based on the amount of employees you have in the system. So it's not going to change based on the amount of payrolls that you run. So if you have weekly or biweekly, or maybe you're running off-cycle payrolls, it's not going to adjust the price in any way, shape, or form, because you have unlimited payroll runs within that monthly fee.
All right. Thank you. I think I lost internet for a second. Apologize for that. Steve, I'm going to come to you. So we've received this question a couple times in other sessions as well, but could you speak to why salaried employees need to be in On the Clock and the implications to payroll?
Sure. So we need to be able to track your employees' time for accountability for audit purposes, and so that you have a history of that employee's payroll time being sent to payroll, or that their salary being sent to payroll. But also we have that built into the product for upcoming overtime laws. For example, if your employee is under X number of dollars per year annual salary, you're required to pay overtime. The only way to pay overtime on that is if we know the actual hours that your employees are working over. So those are two of the base use cases that we get a lot of requests for, and that's why we've included salary in the payroll.
All right. Thank you, Steve. I popped up a opportunity to schedule time with one of our payroll experts. I think Yanni was asking about a contact person. We can handle that in a couple of ways. So first, if you have any questions that we don't get to today, you can schedule time with one of our payroll experts and we'll walk through your questions. They could also help you get started with your enrollment. And then our support team is always available. So if you want to have help going through the process, they are there to help you as well. Dylan, I'm going to come back to you. Questions about handling workers' comp and 401k, I think, and maybe speak to tax filings in general, like access to those from a On the Clock admin perspective.
Yeah. So I'll talk kind of from gross pay down. And so gross pay again is if I make $10 an hour and I work 10 hours, I get $100. But then I start getting my taxes and deductions. And so check handles or On the Clock payroll handles all of the pre-tax calculations. So if you do have, say, a cafeteria 125 health insurance plan. We're able to add that as a pre-tax deduction on your payroll, but also you have a 401k. And so that is pre-fit tax, but there's also some taxes that do apply to, like your FICA taxes do apply to your 401k salary. And so we're able to accommodate that. And then if for all your state and locals, for your payroll taxes, we're able to do those calculations. So then getting all that stuff down to your net pay. And then from there, we can also do like fringe benefits. So say you offer your employees $10 per month for a gym membership, we can add that as a non-tax item as well. If you are doing reimbursements, so I bought a $500 computer, my employer is going to reimburse me for that. That's a non-taxable compensation. So then we can, or it's a reimbursement, not compensation. But we include that in their payroll as well. So 401k, healthcare, those are very standard. We pay tens of thousands of employers that typically all have those. For workers' comp, if you are on a pay-as-you-go plan, we do provide the payroll data, but we do not capture any of the class codes in our system. And so you will have to work with your broker to make sure that your class codes are coordinated with your payroll data. But for all the other services, everything's automated and tracked out. And so, yeah.
All right. Thank you, Dylan. Steve, I'm going to come to you. So starting first, there was a question about reporting and reporting options to be able to port over into bookkeeping systems. Would you be able to speak to that? And I have a follow-up question after this one.
Yes, so we do offer an export of the payroll journey, et cetera, but we are looking at a QuickBooks integration for possibly beginning of 2026.
Thank you. Then the follow-up question is somebody was really curious about product roadmap. So I love this question because it's thinking beyond payroll. Wanted to know about things. Let's see the question here. Like, oh, of course I lost it. Just can you talk briefly about where you see OnTheClock going to support small businesses?
Yes. So OnTheClock really wants to become your provider so that you don't have to go to multiple systems. I think everybody's kind of heard the term technology stack consolidation. It's where you like think about it like your video streaming, or you have your Netflix, you have your Amazon, and you have Hulu, etc. It's very painful to go to all these different systems and pay all these different subscriptions, and none of them really play into each other very well. It is our goal to become your all-in-one system and keep everything simple. We don't want you to have 15 million settings to run your payroll. We don't want you to have a bunch of different settings to do your time tracking. We don't want you to have a bunch of settings to do additional things like employee onboarding and offboarding, scheduling. So those are really what are on our roadmap is HRIS type features that will help support you in a business. Advanced scheduling is one that we're getting a lot of requests for, as well as a build out of our PTO system. It's highly used and there's a lot of requests for some advanced functionality in that.
All right. Thank you, Steve. So we're just about at the bottom of the hour. I wanted to remind you there is an opportunity to schedule more time with one of our experts to answer questions if we didn't get to all of them today. We will be sending out this recording and answering the questions that we were not able to get to. And we just wanted to end with an appreciation for your time today. We hope this was a rewarding 30 minutes spent with us. And we really do look forward to helping you with your payroll in 2025. So thank you all and have a great day.